Yes, God. Yes, God. Yes, God. Yes, Holy Ghost, we're going to make a transition. Go ahead and worship. Go ahead and worship. Oh, oh, lift up a worship. Lift up a worship. Lift up a worship.
Yes, God.
There's no one like you. Oh, not there. King of kings, Lord of lords. Oh, King of kings, Lord of lords. Oh, as we enter in. Oh, as we seek your face. Oh, you reveal to us your heart. Oh, reveal to us your heart. We're captivated by love. Oh, that we never know. Oh, captivated by every word that flows from your throne. We're captivated by you. Oh, captivated by you. Let this be a sacrifice. Let me dedicate my life to worship you. Oh, yeah, let this be a sacrifice. Let me dedicate my life to worship you. Oh, we are lovers of your presence. We are lovers of your presence. We are lovers of your presence. It's all we wanna be. We are lovers of your presence. We are lovers of your presence. We are lovers of your presence. And it's all we wanna be. We are lovers of your presence. We are lovers of your presence. We are lovers of your presence. It's all we wanna be. We are lovers of your presence. We are lovers of your presence. We are lovers of your presence. It's all we wanna be. It's all we wanna be. It's all we wanna be. Oh, captivated by you. Oh, it's all we wanna be. Oh, it's all we wanna be. Oh, it's all we wanna be. Lovers of your presence, of your presence, lovers of your presence, of your presence, oh, lovers of your glory, God, lovers of you, lovers of your presence, of your presence, lovers of your presence, of your presence, lovers of your presence, of your presence, oh, lovers of you. deeper into your glory. Oh, stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Oh, stir 'em up, stir 'em up, stir 'em up. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Oh, Lord, try to fight you in. Oh, stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Wells of your glory, of your glory. Oh, stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Oh, wells of your glory. Oh, deep, 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 deep wells. Oh, deep, 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 deep wells. Oh, deep, 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 deep wells. Stir up deep, 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 deep wells. Oh, glory, oh, glory, oh, we enter into the glory. We enter into the cloud. Oh, we enter into what you're doing. Oh, we enter into it now. Oh, we enter into your glory. Oh, we enter into the cloud. Oh, we enter into what you're doing. Oh, we enter it now. Oh, we enter it. Oh, we enter it. Oh, we enter it. Highway straight. Oh, we enter it. Oh, we enter it freely. Oh, your blood purchased it. Your blood purchased it all. Oh, we are yours. We are yours. We are yours. We are yours. Oh, we belong to the King of Kings. We belong to the Lord of Lords. Oh, we know who we are in you. Oh, we know who we are. I am the King of Kings. I am held in His mercy. Through these trials, He comforts me, speaking life in the midst of pain. And I am loved by the King of Kings. I am held in His mercy. Through these trials, oh, He comforts me, speaking alive, oh, in the midst of pain. Speak life over me, oh, speak life over me, oh, speak life over us. Oh, speak life.
I want to read real quick in Exodus chapter 33. This was in my spirit before I got here. I'm going to just ignite something in us. In Exodus 33. And we'll go back into a flow of worship music before we go into the word. And Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp, off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that everyone which sought the Lord went out unto the tabernacle of congregation, which was without the camp. And it came to pass when Moses went out unto the tabernacle, that all the people rose up and stood every man at his tent door, and looked after Moses until he was gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass, put a pin there, I'm going to repeat that. And it came to pass, as Moses entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle, and the Lord talked with Moses. And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose up and worshiped, every man in his tent doors. And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. Now, one of the things that we want to do before we go back into worship, and before we go back into this flow, because it's going to be a prophetic flow before we get into the word. One of the things that we want to be mindful of in this passage is that it says, and Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it. That means the position of your tabernacle matters. So while we're in worship, I want you to get your mind together. Draw yourself into the proper place so that you're in proper alignment, because the position of the tabernacle matters. Now, the second thing that he mentioned was that the tabernacle was taken outside of the camp. Are you hearing this? Took it outside of the camp. What does that mean? He took it outside of the place where everybody else was residing. He took it outside of the place where everybody else was located. He had to set it apart from the place and the space that everybody was. He took it outside of the camp, and then he positioned it. Hallelujah. The word of the Lord says that when he positioned it and he began to approach the tabernacle, when you walked into it, that the cloud descended. And we're going to get some secrets of worship today, because revolution begins with worship. You understand what I'm saying? You can't ever have a revolution until proper worship is a sign, until proper worship is a line. Once it's activated and once you're actualizing proper worship, then revolution it just happens. It's inconsequential. You can't help but make it happen, because whatever systems are assigned in other positions, whatever systems are assigned in your environment, whatever positions are assigned in the camp, once worship goes forth, revolution says, whatever else is going on in this system, we're doing a system override. I need somebody to shout, system override.
System override.
Doing a system override. That means whatever system was set up, whatever circumstances were set up, once proper worship is assigned, once it's aligned and activated, then whatever those systems are, they have to bow to the system of the kingdom of God. Come on, just let out a shout as you release the system of God out of your mouth. Out of your mouth, release the kingdom that brings every other system into alignment, that brings every other system into its proper place. It says in verse 9, and it came to pass. And there's a saying that the Holy Spirit gave me about you can't have an and suddenly and suddenly. Everybody's talking about and suddenly. We're in the season of and suddenly. But a lot of people didn't get to the whole part of we have to be in the season of and it came to pass first. A lot of people don't want that season, because that season requires discipline. That season requires us being humble. That season requires a breaking. And nobody wants the and it came to pass, because that puts you in places that are not comfortable. But once it comes to pass, then you're assigned for the place where the suddenly can happen. Come on, lift your hands in this place and just begin to worship him for the place that it came to pass. I tell people all the time, I'm amazed by what the Father has done, but I'm thankful for every place he brought me out of, everything he took away from me, and everything he wouldn't let me have, and everything he wouldn't let have me. Are you hearing me? You got to start being comfortable with what God is doing. You got to start agreeing with what he's doing, agreeing with his decree. Stop trying to make your own declaration and begin to agree with heaven's decree. In doing so, then you'll see the manifestation. When you come into this mindset, you begin to sing things like this. We're going to sing, I'm no longer a slave to fear, for I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. Hallelujah. Oh, oh, yes, God. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord.
You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. Oh, you rescued me so I can stand and sing. I am a child of God.
Oh my goodness.
I'm no longer a slave to fear. Come on, sing it with me. I am a child of God. Sing it again. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. Oh, 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 you split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. Oh yes, you rescued me so I can stand and sing. I am a child of God. Oh yes, you split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears are drowned in perfect love. Oh yes, they were. You rescued me so I can stand and sing. I am a child of God. I am a child of God. Oh, full of faith, full of favor. I am a child of God. That's who I am, that's who I am. I am a child of God. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Ora baba baba kutore ra masa. Ora baba bakaya ma. Oso ora bakaya ora baba.
Deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. And deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. And deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. Oh, deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. Yeah, oh, it calls out to deep. Oh, my spirit calls out to deep. Oh, the deep end of your presence, God. Oh, it calls out to deep. It calls out to, it calls out to, it calls out to I wanna walk with you in the light of day. I long to sup with you in the evening. In every moment, every hour, every season, you are my purpose, and I am breathing in. Oh, you. Oh, we are breathing in your sweet aroma, God. We are breathing in your presence. It fills our lungs, it fills our lungs. Oh, we breathe you in, we breathe you in. Oh, your presence is filling us. Oh, your presence is filling us. I wanna hear you whisper, discern your voice. Yes, Lord. In the midst of chaos, drown out the noise. And deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. Oh, deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. Yes, it does. And deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. Oh, deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. Oh, yes. Oh, deep calls out to deep. Oh, deep calls out to deep. The deep end of your presence. Go deeper. I wanna go deeper. Get lost in the waves. Swept up in the current. You're taking me. I wanna go deeper. Get lost in the waves. Oh my God. Swept up in the current. You're taking me. Oh, you're taking me. 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 Oh. And deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. And deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. Oh, to deep, calls out to deep. And deep calls out to deep, calls out to deep. Oh, it calls out to, 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 it calls out to deep. Oh, deep. Oh, deep. It's where we wanna go. Oh, deeper, 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 deeper. We are going deeper, 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 deeper. We are going deeper, 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 deeper. We are going. We don't wanna stay in the shallow end. We don't wanna stay in the shallow end. We are diving into the deep end of your glory, of your presence. Shalarico Sondori Montosonda.
Yes.
Hallelujah. Oh, deeper. Oh, deeper. Oh, deeper, deeper, deeper still. We're going, we are going. Oh, we go from glory to glory. Oh, from glory to glory. Renew our minds, God. Let our minds be renewed by you. Oh, so the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Yes.
Oh, it chases me down, finds till I find, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah, yeah, yes. Oh, your love knows no limits. Oh, knows no boundaries. It will take us out each and every, oh, every time, every time. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. Yes, it did. You have been so, so good to me. Oh, I've heard the word. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. Oh, yes, you did. You have been so, so kind to me. And so the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. And totally overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no shadow, no shadow, no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow, no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Oh, no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, you come after me, you come after us. Oh, you come after your children. Oh, you seek us out, chase us down, chase us down. Oh, chase us down. Oh, chase me down. I will chase you. I will chase you. Oh, with everything that's in me. I will seek you. Oh, seek your glory. Oh, pick up the mantle. I'll pick up the mantle. I'll pick up the mantle of your glory. I will pick up the mantle. Pick up the mantle. Pick up the mantle of your glory. Oh, just to touch the hem of your garment. Just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, Jesus. Just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, I would run, I would run, I would run anything. Oh, just to touch the hem of your garment. I would do anything, I would do anything, I would steal anymore. Oh, just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, I would chase anything. Oh, I would chase after you. Just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, I would run for miles and miles. I would run, I would run. Oh, just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, there's nothing I wouldn't do. Oh, nothing, nothing, nothing. Oh, just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, I know there's healing there, there's healing there. Just to touch the hem of your garment.
Oh, hallelujah. Oh,
Just to touch the hem of your garment.
oh, hallelujah.
Oh, there's
Okay.
just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, touch you, just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, there's nothing we wouldn't do, there's nothing we wouldn't do, no wall we wouldn't scale, just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, Father, 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 oh, Father, 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 just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, come on, intercessors, come on, intercessors, just to touch the hem of your garment. Oh, it's all we want to do. Oh, just take a glimpse, you just take a glimpse, you. Oh, we won't walk away. Oh, we won't, we won't, we won't, we won't. Oh, we won't walk away. We won't look away from your gaze. Oh, from your gaze. Oh, we won't look away. Oh, consuming fire, consume our hearts. Oh, we won't look away. We won't look from the gaze from your eye. Our eyes are on you, Lord. Our eyes are on you, Lord.
Yeah, that right there.
Our eyes are on you, Lord.
Come on, look at it.
Our eyes are on you, Lord. Yeah. Our eyes are on you, Lord. Our eyes are on you. 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 Oh. Glorious Father, hallelujah. Yes, we say yes. We won't let go from your glory. Oh, we're saturated in it. We won't look away from your glory. Oh, we won't look away. We won't look away from your glory. Oh, your splendor, your splendor. Oh, we won't look away from your glory. Oh, everything
Changes everything. It's a game changer.
your glory changes everything. Oh, the floodgates are open. Oh, your glory changes everything. Oh, we're swimming in it, we're swimming in it. Oh, your glory changes everything. Oh, it changes us. Oh, we can't stay the same, but we encounter it. Oh, your glory changes everything. Oh, it changes hearts and minds, hardened hearts and minds. It softens them. Your glory changes everything. It changes us, changes us.
Yes, God. Yes, God. Yes, God.
Glory.
Yes, God. Rosa, God. I'll ask that every prophet that's in the house, that's hearing now, every hearing prophet, I'm going to need you to release the word of the Lord. I'm going to need you to release the word of the Lord. Release the word of the Lord. If you don't have a mic, you can put it on. Every hearing prophet. Your glory is in the room. It is tangible. It is present. It is in the room. Tangible. It is tangible. It is present. Oh, it is here. It is here. Oh, it shifts us. Oh, it shifts us. It shifts us. Oh, there's a shifting here. There is a shifting here. Oh, shift us. Shift our thought perspectives. Oh, let our thoughts be on you. Let our thoughts be on you. We won't shy away from you. We won't shy away from you. Come on, give the word of the Lord, prophet.
Saying that this is the time that He has created microphones, that He is using this era of team. God is saying that He is using a team work that we have never seen, not just with the ministry giftings, but with ministries together. It has been for a while that ministries compete, but God is saying that this is a time that He is causing the teams to come together. And only those who understand team concept will be able to team with other teams. God is saying that He's going to use these places as watering wells for the dry areas. He's saying that He is going to use these areas so that people can come and drink. Because the places that they are going to, they are not getting fed the water of God. But God is saying that He's using this teamwork to refresh the land. And even as I see two people holding hands symbolizing ministries, God is saying that it's like a gate, and He's causing a flood to come through the gates. And as we lift our hands, that He's causing a flooding to come into not just our hearts, but come into the land. God is flooding so much that He's flooding intentions of man. And he says, my intention will last. My intention will arise. My intention will come forth. My intention will show forth the glory of my splendor. So he says to everyone here, arise and show forth my splendor. But this is team atmosphere. This is team atmosphere, and God is here. I saw him sit right there. Right over there. Yes.
Yes. Hallelujah. That is the word of the Lord. Any other prophets here in the house? You know, the funny thing about these kinds of atmospheres, because people are so used to being in captivity, they don't know how to be at liberty. You know, when you come into a freedom place, that's the place where you lift your hands. When you feel that unction, nobody's forcing you to do what you do. It's how you praise. It's how you worship. It's your intimate relationship, your intimate response to God. But it requires a response. You understand what I'm saying? It requires a response. And maybe sometimes you've been in environments where people are trying to tell you how you're supposed to respond, what you're supposed to say to respond. This is not that atmosphere. This atmosphere is freedom. And where the Son has given freedom, where he's given liberty, you are free. So this is the moment. This is the time, whether it's crying, whether it's running, whether it's lifting of hands, whether it's bowing. This is the environment when your captivity becomes captive. But you got to learn how to worship. You got to learn how to worship. See, nobody teaches us how to really, there are things that we don't learn how to do intimately. Okay, and I know children in the room, so I'm going to be very, very careful. But there are things we don't learn how to do intimately. Nobody has to teach it to us. We automatically know what to do when we get in specific environments and certain situations. It's only when we come into the house of God, all of a sudden, we don't know what to do anymore. We don't know whether we need to lift our hands, whether we need to sway back and forth. Whatever it is that the Father is doing with you, whatever movement he's making through you, that's what you do. It's not a one-size-fits-all. And in the church, what the church has done is they said this is a one-size-fits-all situation. This is the solution. When we worship like this. When we praise like this. And understand, I'm not dancing because I dance more than ye all. I promise you I do. I've been known to have the lights cut out on me, and they downstairs eating, and I'm still upstairs by myself worshiping. That's been who I am my whole life. Okay? But you have to understand that when the opportunity, see, a lot of people don't understand opportunity with God. You don't understand divine moments with God. That's what revolution is about. It's about seizing a divine moment, seizing an opening. This thing has been made available, but it first starts with identity.
Yes, Lord.
And this is why people are so afraid, because you have to come into proper identity for revolution.
Yes, God. Hallelujah.
You understand what I'm saying? Revolution requires proper identity. Because if you don't have your own identity, then you'll try to be everybody else.
Yes.
Oh, this is what we do. We're bowing now. Okay, and I'm not saying that everybody won't bow at the same time. Sometimes that happens. I'm not saying that everybody won't speak in tongues at the same time, but we do that. Because we're corporately lifting up our worship, corporately lifting up something, and we're going to do it some more before we leave here. Because Paul said it like this: I pray in the Spirit, and I pray with understanding also. That means that I'm going to release from a spiritual place the thing that I want tangible in the now, but I got to first go into the realm of the Spirit and release this thing so that I have an understanding of what I'm releasing. This is revolution. We're not talking about Kirk Franklin revolution where we just stomp our feet. Do you want a revolution? Oh, we're not talking about that. No, we're not talking about nothing but play. We're talking about something that transforms your very being. And it starts with your identity, because your thinking is changing your being. If your thinking ain't right, then your being gonna be all off. Are you hearing me? If your thinking's not right, then your being is going to be something else. And this is what that word of the Lord is about. That's why I let somebody else get it, because, this is how we operate in the kingdom. We may have a word, but that doesn't mean that we need to release the word. Maybe we exude the word and let somebody else release it.
Oh my God.
Leaders don't know how to do that.
Yes,
They
Lord.
don't know how to digest. They want to compete with their people. They want to compete with the other leaders. I don't have time to compete. And this is Facebook Live. I mean, we on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Welcome everybody into the revolution. You know, I love it. There's something that my brother and I were talking about. If you could just turn it down just a little bit so she can still play. Just make sure that the sound is real low. Real low. Something that my brother and I were talking about, and if you want to sit while you play, you can do that too. Something that me and my brother were talking about recently when we were discussing the 5779 and we made the transition into the new year. You know, people are so concerned about the seats that they're not concerned about the souls.
My God.
Are you hearing me? And understand, there's not going to be any room in this place by the beginning of the year. I know that. That's the word of the Lord. But our priority is the souls of men and not the seats that are being filled. And so we've got people competing and they're trying to give gimmicks to give, you know, I could have said let's have fried chicken, everybody would have showed up on time. Y'all need gimmicks to show up, and that's the problem. That's why you're not getting anything. Because if it's not a gimmick attached to it, you don't really want it, which really says you don't really want God. Because you're looking for faces that have different platforms, and if it ain't the faces, it's the chicken. You know what I'm saying? You need something to geek you up, to get you to a place. You need something to work you up.
My Lord.
You understand what I'm saying? And this is not with the Father. This is not relationship with Him. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot of little sensitive things that are spoken, but they're purposeful. The Holy Spirit is purposefully speaking these things. Because when we start talking about intimacy, people are not deluded about those kinds of things. So this is why the Holy Spirit speaks from that place. Because even the bride, the church, the ecclesia, is to be a picture. That's what marriage is about, is to be a picture of the Son and the bride. That's supposed to be the picture in the earth, right?
Yes.
But all of that requires something. So if we have a natural picture, then that means that image is supposed to reflect the heavenly place, a spiritual place, right? So this whole working up of things, nobody needs to work you up. You either love me or you don't. Hello?
No in between.
And I tell men this all the time, if you got to go buy the special jellies and all that stuff, your wife don't love you, because I'm just saying, it don't take all of that. I'm being real with y'all, okay? It don't take all of that. It either is or it ain't. You understand what I'm saying? This don't have nothing to do with medical conditions, but I know a lot of people, oh, what if they got, no, we're not going to give excuses and stuff. We're not going to do that today. Because if we're together, then there are certain things that happen because we're together.
My God.
There are certain things that just function from a certain place because we're together.
Yes, Lord.
You understand what I'm saying? So we're not making excuses, but the reality is when the Father shows up, He's got appointed times, and so we're worried about the seats and not the souls, and so we get miffed or we get thrown off by how many people said they were going to show up but didn't. I'm not that apostle, I'm sorry. Because I remember the 120 that were in the upper room. I remember that He was speaking to a mass of people, a multitude of people. He was speaking to hundreds and hundreds of people at the time that were His disciples. Okay? These were His disciples that He was talking to, and He was giving them an assignment. He was giving them an assigned place to be at. He said, listen, this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to go down. Now, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go to Jerusalem. I need you to wait there. I need you to wait. And I need you to go to the upper room. You know, when everything's going to be prepared, just go there and wait. So that means they have to take a journey to get there, and when they get there, they gotta wait. That's the process. Everybody don't want that process. You think it's just gonna happen again. It doesn't suddenly happen until it comes to pass. You've got to have the process in between that thing before the suddenly even happens.
Yes,
So
Lord.
if you waiting on the chicken dinner and you waiting on me to bring in Noel Jones or whoever else, whatever floats your boat. People got what floats their boat. But what you're not understanding is the word of the Lord that just came from the man of God's mouth was that God is doing a new thing. He's the same God doing a new thing. That's my brother's line. He's the same God doing a new thing. And while you're on the old paradigm, I'm going to do it myself. We're going to go do this ourselves. No, God is saying, revolution requires revolutionaries. You notice there's an IES on the end of there. Revolution don't start with one person. It goes from person to person. It's birthed from person to person, but it takes an army to revolutionize. The idea or the thought or whatever the anointing is might come from one person.
Come on, Apostle.
But it's going to take the army to fulfill the revolution.
Yes.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. When it comes time to go to your area where your people are and feed your people, I'm with you. Let's go. This is why we need different anointings and different giftings, because different people are called to different things that'll bring things to the forefront, and then we can all get it accomplished, because even though we're called to different things, we're the body. That means it all works together, so we have to be in the same place. Apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, evangelists. We got to be in the same house so that we can function out of the house to fulfill the will of God in the earth. You understand? So it's not an issue of, oh, well, I'm not called to that. Okay, well, you got to let somebody that is called to that come in the house and do what they're called to do.
Yes.
Because that's the body.
Yes.
Oh, no, we're not called to feed. Oh, feed. Okay, you're not, then you're called to be broke. You're called to be poor. Because the one that the Father honors, he said true religion and undefiled is caring for the homeless, the widows, the hungry. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That's his heart. His heart is what's lacking in the people. You understand? So you got to allow the room and the space and the place for people, for the giftings to come together so that they can function together and do the work. That's the body. Fitly joined. What you got to understand as well is that sometimes people are missing because they don't take it as seriously as you do. I know the Holy Spirit has been telling me for some time now. It's been at least 2 years, and everybody that comes in contact with me, especially if they're on the intercession line, or whatever they're connected to me, whatever training part they're connected to me, the Holy Spirit asks people, "Do you take me serious?" Everybody says yes to that question. I don't care who they are. If you ask them, do you take God serious, they're going to say, oh yeah, I take him real serious. Oh no, I don't disrespect the Lord. Oh no, I take it. No, you don't take him too serious, because you make commitments and you don't keep them.
My God.
You make appointments with him and you don't show up. Can I tell you something, YouTube family, people that are watching on Facebook, those of you that made an appointment to be here and you did not come, you're bad. See, I'm not the apostle that's going to make you feel good about your stuff. And see, that's where we've been messing up at. We in this prophetic climate of the Tickle Me Elmo prophecies. Are you hearing me? We're not doing Tickle Me Elmo prophecies here. We're not the apostles that come to make you feel good. Okay? Paul had an issue in the camp that the women were kind of going at each other. You know, the Hebrew women and the Greek women, they were kind of going at each other because they're like, what? When we feel like they're getting better stuff than us, or they got more than us, Paul said, hold on. This is not my assignment. We're apostles for real. We don't have time for all that extra stuff, all this getting on Facebook Live and shaving each other and going through all these changes. No, nobody has time for that. There are real world things happening in the real world that we live in that the Father's requiring his terraforming sons to put in order. And while y'all are arguing over platforms and arguing over who's going to do what and trying to hold people down and try to keep the gifts from moving forward because you're intimidated with them, somebody's dying. And their blood is on your hands.
My God.
This is revolution. You understand what I'm saying? This is revolution. I got a couple of things I want to share with you today. A couple of things, and we don't know how this is going to flow, because I really just believe in allowing the Holy Spirit to move us. You know, gone are the days when we just got 3 points in a hoop and we done. I've been so over that for so long. Anybody else in here been over that? Who wants that? I mean, you don't even want that in a marital relationship. This is what we do. We go this. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to send you flowers. I'm going to have candles at the house. And then you're going to come home and then I'm going to just kind of turn on the music. No, nobody wants it. No. I need you to be spontaneous. What's really going on in you concerning me? What's really happening? That should be your position even when you're dealing with the Father. What's really going on in you in every moment is how you're going to spontaneously combust into worship. How you're going to spontaneously combust into praise and giving him glory and honor. Because it's not predicated on a 3-step anything. It's really just about, this is where I'm at. I'm ignited in this area. I'm feeling the movement of God on this thing. And so now I want to just lift my hands. Now I just want to worship. Now I just want to pray in the Holy Ghost. I just want to worship. I just want to sing right now. I just feel like dancing. No, I'm not dancing to the tempo of the music, but I just feel like dancing. And now I just feel like swinging or turning circles. Whatever it is. It's called spontaneous. That's how the Father really deals with us.
Yes.
But it requires the proper positioning first. Right? If you're not in the proper position, if you're not the proper being, then you can't receive what that being is called. You can't be what you're supposed to be if you're not being it. You know what I'm saying? You got to receive it first into your being before you can be it. So, revolution, let's talk about this for a minute. Revolution requires strategy. And everybody can't come to the strategy table. You know, when you're dealing militarily with things, they have classifications of military. You understand what I'm saying? Those classifications are purposeful. Yes, we're all going to go to battle. Yes, we're all going to fight, but there are different ranks and there are different classifications. We may have the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. Okay, so we got it classified by that, but now we've got it classified by rank. So if it's time to strategize, the corporal, the private, he may not be in that strategy meeting. Because that strategy meeting first has to go through the generals. And after the generals have received the strategy, now they're going to bring it to, they're going to give those assignments to those that are underneath them. And when I say underneath, I'm not talking about how the world deals with things. Because in the kingdom, there is no, I'm better than you. That's not the position that I'm talking from. You know, this is where all that clergy and laity stuff comes from, and that's not biblical. It's not even written, because the reality is that he gave some is all of the body. The body is functioning in different ways, and you know, it's called the different things. Now, it may not be the one that's on the front line right now, but that's why you're supposed to know those that labor among you. That's why you train up a child in the way that they should go. That's not just a natural principle, that's a spiritual principle. Okay? So you may be an apostle, but maybe you're not functioning right now because you got to be trained or discipled first. Right. You understand what I'm saying? But there's no such thing as the clergy and the laity. If I look at everything as that, then I'll think that I'm better than other people, or I'll see my position as something more than what it is. But when I look at the body for what it really is, if I look at the hand, I'm not trying to dissect the hand and trying to figure out how I can minimize it down to its finest minute thing to discredit it above the head. I need the hand just like I need my head.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because the head is sending signals to my hand. Right? So why was the head taking a position like, you know, I'm everything? No, you're not everything. The hand is something too, because you're going to send a signal to the hand. You're going to send a signal to the feet. You're going to send a signal to the heart. You know what I'm saying? All of these things work in tandem for the body to be optimally functional. Optimally functional. That's what the Father's after. He's about functionality. He's about optimizing. He's not about waste. So this is the hour that the Father's doing the separating. And I know it's so funny because a lot of times, come on in, a lot of times people get so messed up because they don't understand what's written in the scripture because they haven't read it. Right. You know, in this season of separating, people are saying, oh, well, you can't judge me because God judges me, and he's the one that does the separating. No, not so. Not so. It's not what the word says. You are in a position of judge. You are in a position of king and priest. You just have to know what your authority is and operate from that authority. You understand what I'm saying? But they get in those places, and it's crazy because the reality is I have to judge a thing before I can do something about something. Whatever it is in life, it has to be judged before I can make a movement. What's happened is, a lot of times while we're finding ourselves coming from these places that we're coming from, and we're coming out. Right. Bad decisions, wrong moves. I talk with other people in this room about that. You know, people that I love in this room and people that I've loved over the seasons. And you know what? The thing about it is, in order for revolution to begin, you've got to accept whatever it is. You got to accept your stuff. Yes, you got to call Lord. It what it is.
Yes.
You can't call it something else.
My God.
That's not how it works. You have to see it for what it is. Mm-hmm. Once you see it for what it is, now you can deal with this thing because you know the character of what it was. And so now you know how to deal with it. You know what the name of it is. You know, and now you know the answer to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you're dealing with an enemy and you don't even know the name of it and you refuse to assign it what it is and refuse to say what it is, how do you come out of that place?
Come out of.
How do you come from there? It starts with your identity. And that's the thing that the enemy has always and will always attack. I tell people this all the time. The three biggest things you're going to deal with in your life. What did the Father say? Do you believe it? And what are you going to do about it?
My God.
Those are your challenging areas. Those are your areas of challenge as long as you're alive. What did he say? Do you believe it? And if you believe it, what are you going to do about it? That's important. Because I can know what he said. Let's talk about the garden. I can know what he said. I can believe what he said. But I can do something else about it. And where does that put me? Or I can know what he said and change my mind about whether I believe what he said or not, and that also puts me in a bad position. But we've got to learn how to own our stuff. If it wasn't God, it wasn't God. If it was us, it was us. He's gathering his sons from all the places that we've been. He's gathering us from those places. And while he's gathering us, he's just kind of gently coasting us along here, gently prodding us. Like, did that area over there? Yeah, that right there. That's how that happened. That's what happened with that. Because sometimes we have questions.
Absolutely.
That's what happened with that.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times when we have the questions, it puts us in a place too, because we don't know how we're supposed to respond now. We don't know how what we're supposed to do with this particular thing. But the Father, even in this environment, is bringing clarity to the things that you've done, the places that you've been. Because at the end of the day, it's not with the Father. It's not about what you've done. It's about what you were born to do.
Yes.
And when you get a revelation of that, that changes the whole game. It's not about what you've done. See, with the world, it's about what you've done. With the church, it's about what you've done. But with the kingdom, it's not about what you've done. It's what you were born to do. So the enemy can't come and bring you into captivity over what you've done, because that's now under the blood. That's not even, I don't even know that person. I don't even know who that is. So when you tell people I'm disconnected from that, I don't know what you're talking about. You're not lying to them, because if the Father forgot it, why are you trying to remember it? I forget dates, times, all that. I forget names, I promise you. Purposeful. Allow yourself to forget it.
My God. Hallelujah.
Allow yourself to forget it. And even when they remind you, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't let people bring you messages from your past. Messages from the future, we can do that. But messages from my past, no thank you. I don't need a blast from the past. I'm all good on that. Hallelujah. I'm all set on that. So we want to talk a little bit about revolution today. I'm going to read this definition to you, because I believe that this definition, because there's so many prophetic and so many apostolic gifts in the house, I believe that the definition alone will bless you. Okay? The definition of revolution from a political science perspective. Politics and science, right? Okay, we got thinkers in the room. All right? A revolution, that comes from the Latin word revolutio, is a turnaround. Let's start there. It's a turnaround. Yeah, let that settle in your spirit for a minute. It's a turnaround.
Yes, Lord.
Hallelujah. Let that work on you. Just for a minute. When he calls you to the revolution position, he's calling you to that position to turn you around. And once he turns you around, then now you're turning things around.
Yes.
That's what sons do. We finish the work. We do the work. We do what we see our Father doing. That's what the Master said. He said, the ones that you've given me, I haven't lost any of them. He said, these are like sons to me. I haven't lost any that you've given me. But what I want to do with them is, I want them to understand that the reason I'm coming to you is so that I can make room for them here. A lot of people have taken the scripture and the scripture that said, I go away to prepare a place for you, that where I am, there you may be also. They turned that into, we go into heaven. And that's not what that verse is talking about. He said, I'm going away to prepare a place for you. I'm making room for you right here. Because as I was in the earth, so are you. You're a son just like I am. Yeah. So I started a thing. I started finishing the work that the Father began. Now the assignment goes to you. And even greater works.
My God.
Will you do? Because I go to my Father. We're in this movement. I'm trying to get away from using the words hour, time, all of that, because when you come into a place where you become a master of time, you're no longer in time. But when you're dealing with the people who only understand time, you got to elevate their thinking to another place. It's a movement of God. It's an appointed movement. It's an appointed time of God. Are you listening to what I'm saying? We're coming to this place where we can no longer deal in the mindsets that we've been dealing in. We can't deal in that low level. I have somebody that I love dearly, and he's going to know I'm talking about him when I say this. He makes jokes like this, but this is a real place for me. He said, I know sometimes you hear me and you say to yourself, I got to go. I'm not watching no more. I'm not listening no more. Because unless people are on the Jetsons frequency, you can't function. True. Absolutely. Because when the master went into places, he wasn't on their frequency. He brought the frequency. Hello? He brought the frequency that should be operating there. If he hadn't brought his frequency, nobody would have ate. Hello? Either time. If he had not brought his frequency with him and it was dependent upon the frequencies in the room and he was supposed to come down to their frequency, nobody would have ate nothing because the fish and the loaves could have been turned into something that millions of people could have ate from. Does that make sense? They wouldn't even have leftovers if he was dealing in somebody else's frequency. So don't let people shade you in this season because what he's calling for is deep sons. Deep sons, out to deep, out to deep, out to deep. I love it. Because I've had leaders tell me, especially male leaders, they're funny.
They are.
Male leaders are funny. I'm just speaking from a woman's perspective.
Okay, here we go.
But because they want to be carnal, you too deep. No, you're too shallow. You know? Deep calls out, that was my conversation too. I said, no, the issue is that deep calls unto deep and deep don't call out to shallow. So you don't understand my conversation and it's too much for you because you're in the shallow end of the pool, brother. You're in the shallow end of the pool. Yeah. You stopping in mud puddles. We got a full ocean here. Okay, this is where I choose to operate from. So I'm gonna need somebody that's gonna be in that place to communicate with me on some level. Don't try to communicate from the place. The puddle anointing. Don't bring your puddle anointing over here in an ocean place. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then get mad because I'm an ocean and you only. I'm saying that to you for real because this is the place that Father's calling us to. He's calling us to deal from these places. You cannot get wrapped up in and start functioning from low places anymore. You can't do that. And so now because your frequency is higher, now you're dealing with everything from that place. You see, like an eagle. He doesn't come get his prey from the low place like a chicken does. He's not squandering around on the ground looking for food. He's up here. And his eye is so keen, he can zoom in all the way down there.
On a live thing.
Come on a live thing. To come and get what he's coming to get. But he don't have to be down here to eat.
Right.
He could be up there and see his food. I heard another guy, I'm trying to remember, I think this was William Branham told this story. It's so powerful. He said that there was a mother chicken and there were a bunch of eggs. But the farmer, as he was going out to collect eggs, he collected an eagle egg. He didn't know the difference. He couldn't tell the difference. I guess they were so small at the time. I don't know how he could tell the difference, because I could tell the difference between an eagle egg, but you know that stuff happens. So he couldn't tell the difference between an eagle egg and a chicken egg, so he gathers them all up. And he puts them underneath the hen for her to sit on them. Okay, so the season passed and the time passed for the eggs to crack. Well, when it cracked, all the chickens came out. They were, doing their pee-pee thing. I love chickens, because I'm a farmer, so. But the eagle egg cracked and he didn't look nothing like those chickens. He's in the midst of them now. This is going to bless you, I promise you. He's in the midst of the chickens, but he don't look nothing like them. And he does not understand what they're talking about. What is going on? Wrong frequency is not resonating.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. So time goes on, they grow. course, he looks a whole lot different than the chickens, right? But they're going on along, and one day the mother calls out. He never comes when the mother calls because he don't understand her language. He does not understand what she's saying. Neither does he understand what these siblings of his that he's been forced into this situation. He doesn't understand their language. So she calls one day, she finds a bug, and she's calling all the babies, come on over and eat this bug, right? He doesn't come when they come, but finally he shows up and he's looking, he's like, what are they doing? Like, this doesn't even make sense. None of this is making sense to me. They're looking at him every day like he's the weirdest out of the bunch, But one day, something flies overhead. And she cries out like an eagle cries out. Ah! And he looks up. He's like, wait a minute. Now, I understood that. Hold on. See, the issue has been, you've been dealing with chickens so long, and you've been fighting, you're trying to figure out, why I don't understand their language? I don't understand. I don't know what to do in this situation. Because you're not a chicken.
Right.
So when his mother flies overhead, and she makes her sound, right? He looks up immediately.
Like a siren.
Yes. And that's where we're supposed to be looking. Looking up.
Yeah.
You understand? That's our expectation. So he looks up immediately, and his mother says, you're not a chicken, boy, you're mine. Asha.
Yes.
You are not a chicken, you're mine.
Yes.
He says, okay.
Jesus.
So he's trying to figure out now. He's trying to think it through himself. He said, you got to figure out, no. Come up a little higher. I'm going to put you on my wings because I got to teach you how to fly now because you've been flapping around with these chickens, just kind of hanging out with them. So you don't really know how to utilize what's in you yet.
Come on.
You don't really know how to use that yet.
Yeah.
So what I need you to do is come to a higher place. Come up just a little bit more so I can bear you up on my wings. So he gets up on his branch. He gets up to the branch. And she says, you're not high enough, son. Come up a little bit higher. If you come up a little bit higher, I can get you on my wing and I'm going to teach you how to fly. I'm going to teach you how to fly. Comes up a little bit higher. And his mama catches him on her wing. And he's up there and he's watching. He's just kind of flying with her. And eventually she flicks him off. And he feels like, oh, I don't know about this thing. And she says, fly, boy. He said, this is pretty high, mother. While he's falling. Mother, this is pretty high. Fly, boy. Fly.
Hey.
And the moment he stretched those wings out, all of the old feathers that had never been used before, because birds clean their feathers, they started just kind of flying off in that wind. That wind just kind of caught his wings, started ripping those old wings out. And those wings just started flinging out like this, and he just kind of started sort of saying, now just flap your wings. Come up a little bit higher. Flap them and come up a little bit higher. Now stretch them out. So he's learning, hands-on training, he's learning how to soar, how to fly. But he's learning from his mother. He's learning from his DNA, not from the DNA that was on the ground. That's where the Father's bringing us to. Because as we're in this season of 5-7-7-9, and a lot of people are dealing with the snake in the grass, and we're dealing with the exposure, and all of that. You got to know how to put your foot on the neck of the snake, and how to bring him up to the height that he needs to be at, where he can't function no more. This is revolution. Because as long as the eagle stays on the ground, he might stand a chance of being challenged.
Right.
He's got a chance of a challenge on the ground because that's the snake's domain.
Right.
But the minute he picks him up with those feet and goes to take it off in the air, that snake can't breathe in that environment. He can't function. He can't even figure out how to position himself to strike. Because he's in a high place now.
Yeah.
Now you're in my territory.
Yeah.
This is my domain.
Yeah.
This is how I get down.
Yeah.
So see, if you stay in your proper position, that's what we say, position is everything.
Yeah.
That's how revolution begins, where you are in your mind. People like identity. relationships and strategy. We talked about that a little bit. But those are prerequisites for revolution. Those are prerequisites. If you don't have proper identity, which is knowing who the Father is, knowing who you are, and knowing who others are. Because see, that's the part a lot of people leave off. You got to know who others are. You got to discern. You got to perceive who people are around you so that you can be in proper relationship. Remember, second one, relationship with them. So whatever it is that you need unlocked, whatever you need to unlock for them, whatever the system is that the Father sets up for the thing to flow and function properly, you got to be in that position. Identity, relationship, strategy. Relationships, they were connections. I talk about this all the time. I think this is one of the things that I'm always talking about because I have learned what bad connection does. Because I've learned what bad connection is and how in what position it puts me in. Then I'm always talking to people about connection. Sometimes when you talk about connection, people will think, oh, you just want me to be on your team. Not really. If the Father hasn't called you to my team, I don't want you on my team.
Oh my God.
Matter of fact, my team ain't chumps anyway. So if you acting chump right now, you need to go on. I tell people that on my prayer line all the time, this is not for chumps. Don't connect with me till like you want to do something. This ain't for chumps because the stuff that the Father's talking to me about and what I know he's talking about to true apostles right now, this ain't no chump stuff. This ain't no let me see how many conferences I can preach this year stuff. This ain't let me see who can notice me. This is not about that for us. There are real world issues that got to be dealt with and only the sons can deal with. But it requires us being in right relationships. Right relationship to our circumstance even. Because you can be called to a thing but not be commissioned yet.
Come on.
Yes, Lord.
Just because you were called to it, don't mean you're ready to do it.
True.
This is an information break for leaders. Because this is what we deal with in this season. People want to come to you and they already want to have a preconceived notion about what they believe the Lord told them to do. And I'm struggling with that because I'm saying, if he made me your leader and you said the Holy Ghost called you to me and told you to have a seat under me, then that means he's going to talk to me about you.
Come on.
So that I know what you're assigned to do, so I can know that's my job. And so leaders don't know, so they just start giving titles to people.
Dangerous.
This is the age that we've been living in, but I'm telling you, the Father's separating the church age from the kingdom age, and it's going to be all raps.
My God.
It's raps. It's going to be so plain who you are. It's not going to even be a secret if you're a real apostle or not. It's not going to be a secret if you're a false prophet or a true prophet. It's not going to be a secret. He purposefully designed it so that it would come to this place where the wheat and the tare have to be separated. I'm going back to the beginning point that I made. And he's not doing the separating. He's giving it to the reapers to do. That means everybody's assigned to a thing. We've got harvesters, we've got reapers, we've got planters. So whatever place you've been called to, you're not better than the other. You've just been assigned by the Father to do your job. But the reapers are going to do that. And can I show you, reapers, how easy it is to identify as we're going into this season of judges, decrees, and declarations, and what's the saying? What's the saying on the flyer that the Holy Spirit gave me for revolution? Sacrifices. Sacrifices. And what's the other one? Sacrifices, decrees, and judgments. Sacrifices are what priests do. Living sacrifice, that's where we are priestly. Decrees is what kings do. And they can't be rescinded. Judgments are what judges do. And you got to know that you've been assigned to be a judge. Whatever level you've been assigned to, and you've got to be in that understanding and aware of the fact that you've been assigned to judge some things. But this is where we are. Apostle, I've had people literally come to me and tell me that kind of thing and say, well, but you know, when I first got saved, the Holy Spirit told me I was everything. I was apostle, prophet, pastor. Now, I'm not knocking because I flow in all of them personally. But my office is the office of an apostle. Hello. So you want to come to me first of all and tell me who you are so that I don't hear from the Holy Ghost as to who you are. You want me to operate from the place that you're talking. So what happens with this is that people, you'll know when they're not, we're going back to the weed they're tearing in, but you'll know what spirit they're operating in, because instead of them just being still and doing what the Holy Spirit told them to do, they'll leave off from you and go find somebody that will affirm them as an apostle. You know what I say to that? Have at it.
Have at it.
Because all of the warfare that goes with that apostleship, you can have it.
No doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, you can have that. All of the warfare that goes with the prophet's office, you can have that. That's not who you are. If you're a pastor, why do you want to be an apostle? Apostles aren't better than pastors.
Right.
But if you live in a society or in a world where the system of church says that this is the hierarchy, but you know what Paul said? He said, you saved us for last. I know in the list, it says apostles, prophets, pastors. That's just giving you the status of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Because I don't want to say hierarchy, because y'all struggling in so many areas with that. The ranking. But apostles were last. What are apostles in the Old Testament? They wasn't in the beginning of the New Testament either. They had to come to that place. So we were saved for last. Because he knew that building was going to be necessary after everything was torn up. Just like it was from the beginning. When he allowed his spirit to hover over the face of the waters. This is what he's calling terraforming sons too. So that's why your spirit got to be right. Because you got to allow your spirit to hover over waters. Over regions.
Yes, Lord.
Over people. They got water. You know, we're made up of 75 or more % of water, right? So when you're standing in a place and you're releasing a frequency, that your spirit has to go hover over them, so that when you say, let there be freedom, there is freedom.
Yes,
When you say, let there be legs, there are legs. When you say, let there be hearing, there is hearing. Why? Because you allowed your spirit to be formed by God, and now when it goes out and hovers over their waters, and you begin to say, let there be, because that's who you are. Made in the image and the likeness of your Father. That's who you are. Connections that are authorized for purpose to come into fulfillment. That's what he's looking for. Weak material. Then I'll come back to the political science definition, because you know how the Holy Spirit do. He just moves you. As long as you stay on course. Hallelujah. Stay on topic, saints. Hallelujah. Weak material. Easy way for you to know in this season. There's a thing that wheat does when it's time to harvest it. Because in that time of harvest, the heat is high. And what the wheat does is it begins to bow. It's yielding itself to the harvest.
Yes, Lord.
But the tares don't do that.
No.
They're not able. That's not in their constitution. When the heat comes, instead of bowing, they stand direct.
Or in their DNA.
You're going to know what you're looking at in this season, I promise you. I promise you. You're going to know exactly what you're looking at, because when the heat of God comes, when the glory shows up, and that's what we're after. We're after the glory. Because it's one thing to have presence, but it's another thing to have glory.
Yes, Lord.
He'll let his presence be in a place. But when he releases his glory, it's like when he breathed into Adam's nostrils, and the essence, all of who he was breathed into that man to make him a living soul. Presence can give you goosebumps. But glory transforms everything. It brings all that he, everything about him to the environment. That's okay.